John Dawson of Patio Daddy-O Barbecue in Boise, Idaho, and I've got it locked on the 50,000 gigawatt blowtorch of the internet that is Barbecue Central.
We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect, we put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and oh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Hey, welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important to the world of barbecue and grilling. Originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. It does happen to be the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday. If you want to jump in, the phone call, easy to make, 216-220-0966. If you would rather do it by email, much easier, and here's how you do that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to greg@bbqcentralshow.com or on the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter. Coming up in about 13 minutes from now or so, it is the first Tuesday of yet another new month. I say it time and time again, especially at this time of the month. That's funny to say out loud. Especially at this time of the month. Let me make sure. Periscope, YouTube, yep. 28th coming to a close. Folks, you laugh at me each and every month when I say it. You'll laugh really hard when I say it in January because it couldn't get any more fresh than the first Tuesday. But we are once again in the Tuesday of the first of the month, which is May now. We are in month 5, so 2018 rapidly coming to a close. And, of course, the first Tuesday of the month. If you feel like you're getting seasonal barbecue allergies, if you feel like your barbecue game is a little bit on the sickly side, if you don't feel you are getting the most out of your barbecue self and you need to take a trip to the Good Doctor's Barbecue Getting lost in my thought. And you need to make a trip to the Good Barbecue Doctor's office to fix your ills and your ails and your issues, trobs and tribs. Certainly you've picked no better week to do that than by the monthly show visit from Barbecue Hall of Famer, multiple time and best-selling cookbook author, friend of this show, Ray Lampe. Dr. Barbecue will join us just shy of 11 minutes from now. And then at around 35 past the hour, the longest-running sponsor of the show, the Barbecue Guru, and my ace, Bob Trudnak, will be joining me, bbqguru.com. And typically we're talking about technology that will be changing your life forever as it relates to the world of live fire cooking. Not specifically for ceramic cookers, but of course their flagship product, tried, true, and tested on pretty much all ceramic cookers, to include their own monolith, by the way. Also, they have a set of very fantastic automatic pit temperature control device controllers, not the least of which is the CyberQ Cloud controller. This time around, we go a little bit more traditional, a little bit more material, a little bit more manufacturing. And we're going to be talking about a brand new product that Bob put out into the market. I don't know if it's been a month yet, maybe a little more than a month, but has been met with an incredible acceptance into the market. Very popular, hard for him to keep in stock. In fact, I was immediately on him saying, hey, Bob, let's get on. Let's talk about this new product, hype it up, get it going. And he said, would love to, except for the fact that the first run sold out like free hotcakes on a Sunday at IHOP. And I still have lead time left before I get that new shipment in to be able to sell out again. So let's wait a couple weeks. So I respect Bob's wanting to wait to make sure that he had product in hand, that he's able to scale up accordingly. So by the end of our conversation this evening, in about 30 minutes from now, and you feel energized, motivated, I've created that sense of urgency for you to get your hands on this product, you will be able to get it. Because nothing worse, it's like going on Kickstarter or Voodoo Django or all these other hype sites. Did the meter even come out yet? Where's my embedded Texas correspondent? Did the meter actually happen? Doug, you said you have one, right? But it took 10 months, 12 months, 18 months to get one after being funded millions and millions of dollars. That's the one thing that I freak out a little bit when it comes to these Kickstarter programs. I backed a couple, they funded, and then nothing really ever happened. I don't even know if I lost money on it, but the concepts seemed really good. That's why I supported them. One was a phone camera gimbal. It was really cool, founded by the guy that originally founded that Steadicam that they use in movies. He was part of that, but it just never went anywhere. Or got farmed out to Best Buy. They screwed everything up, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is this. If we create enough urgency and enough excitement for you to get your hands on this product from the Barbecue Guru, you will be able to buy it, and it is simply called the Rib Ring. Now, if you use it to its full capacity, I don't want to shoot the wad right here in the open, but if you use it to its full capacity, you can cook 6 racks of St. Louis-style cut ribs, or, as you see in Bob's promotional video, 5 racks of St. Louis-style ribs and a whole chicken in the middle. So I'm not going to call it a beer can chicken holder because if you're a fan of this show, if you're a disciple of Meathead, you all know we're a little down. We shy away from beer can chicken for a number of reasons, the first of which is safety. But if you want to be able to put a whole chicken down in there and have it hold it upright, you can circumvent that 6th rack of St. Louis spare ribs and drop in a whole chicken. So in that promo video, he's doing the full 5 racks of ribs and the whole chicken. So we'll talk to Bob about where he decided this needed to be, or why it decided it needed to be released, how the concept came up. I'm sure there were some libations involved, especially as it relates to Bob, because he's a big craft beer guy. He might just be a beer guy in general, but I think he's really into the craft scene as well. I think he might have some business relationships with some of those local brewers up where he's at, towards that Warminster, Pennsylvania area. So we'll talk to Bob Trudnak in about 29 minutes from now. And then we'll move on to the second hour. 14 past the second hour, I have open. So if you have always wanted to jump in the show, talk about a subject, ask me a question, have a take on a previous guest at some point, I'm more than happy to have you on at that time frame. That'll be in the second hour, 14 minutes past. I'll have some giveaways. We can play some games, do all the fun stuff. I don't usually have open segments here in this show, but I decided to leave it open this week just to let you guys take part in it. If you want, fear not, I have also allotted plenty of me talking to fill the segment if need be. And then to close out the show, we will talk about Steak Cook-Off Association. We'll talk about winning Steak Cook-Off Association contests, especially as it relates to the Colorado area, specifically Warminster, Colorado. And my guy, the owner, proprietor of GQUE BBQ Restaurant and the pitmaster of the same team's name, GQUE BBQ, Jason Ganahl, will join me and talk about his big win this past weekend at SCA. Of course, when you win an SCA event, you get that golden ticket to take part and try your hand at the overall World Championships that'll take place in Dallas-Fort Worth. And that'll be in October this year. We'll make sure we nail down that specific date. Brett Galloway talked about it when he was on a couple weeks ago. So we'll make sure we nail it down when he's on in 2 weeks' time talking about the latest and greatest SCA events. But Jason Ganahl, a winner back into the competition saddle. So we'll talk to him about all the good things that are going on in SCA, and are there any pitfalls, because I've talked about it here for the last number of weeks. I love a lot about SCA. I have concerns about the SCA as it relates to the narrowing of acceptance and creativity being rewarded and or penalized, like you see it being done in competition barbecue now. Nobody's going to be super outside the box to gain attention, because judges have been trained to say, this is what I should be looking for. This is what wins. Anything outside this box should be penalized. I think we need to get out of that mindset. So we'll talk to Jason about that as well. Plus your phone calls and emails. 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Let me talk to you quickly about the Barbecue Guru. They have always believed that outdoor cooking should be easy, because it can be, especially if you use the Monolith Barbecue Guru Edition grill. The Monolith is the world's first temperature-controlled smoker with a built-in power draft fan. That means smarter control, greater freedom with automatic temperature control. Easily choose your cooking time and temperature, and let the Monolith do the work of a sous chef or a barbecue pitmaster. With minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill, and you can serve the tastiest, juiciest of meals each and every time. Now, if you missed it, the Monolith does have a built-in draft fan. So here's the good news. If you are already a Guru customer and you have a controller, you don't have to bother getting the whole new setup to accommodate the Monolith. It has the fan in it, so just hook your controller up to the fan. As long as you're happy with the technology you got as it relates, I've been saying that a lot. As long as you're happy with how that controller operates, you don't have to go get a new one in order to make that Monolith work. If you want to upgrade to the CyberQ Cloud, who am I to tell you don't do that? Go ahead and do it. I encourage you. If you want to keep the controller you have and hook it up to that fan, you can do that as well. Get you up and running right out of the box that much quicker. Plus, you know, it's ceramic, so it's going to be a fuel miser. It's going to hold temperature well once the ceramics heat up. A lot of great things that ceramic cookers have that some of the other cookers don't. So take advantage of that. It's got the fan in it. If you got a controller, hook it up. You're off and running. Visit the website, bbqguru.com. Call them 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. Or again, the website, bbqguru.com. Ray Lampe coming up out of the break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, welcome back. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Butcher Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauce, grilling oils. All the Butcher Barbecue products have been tested on the competition circuit as well as in backyards all over the country. That's right. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood. Be the king of your cul-de-sac. And visit butcherbbq.com to stock up right now. Always trust your butcher no matter what. All right, stick around for this.
If you got questions about barbecue or grilling, maybe as a hobby or even a business, looking to get an expert's point of view, why not ask Dr. Barbecue? You can submit your questions by clicking on the Ask Dr. Barbecue tab on the website. The doctor is in. Here's Ray Lampe with his nurse, Greg Rempe. Dr. Barbecue.
That's right. Every week you can find Ray Lampe right here on this show. So let's race over to the Traeger Grills hotline and welcome back, Ray. Ray, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, Greg. How about yourself?
Doing absolutely fabulous, Ray. I always appreciate the time that you give to the show here. A number of different places that we can run to tonight. So let me ask you, do you want to do questions first, or do you just want to talk about some hot barbecue topics?
Yeah, let's get to questions, because sometimes I feel like we don't get to them, so let's do that.
All right. So question number one. Now, let me preface this by saying that the constant churn or constant addition of audience might seem like some of these questions get asked a little bit more than others, but you know, I mean, we got people that are learning, and of course, brisket is all the rage anymore. Central Texas barbecue certainly seeing an emergence of popularity, the likes I don't know if we've seen here over the last 5 or 10 years as it would relate to any of the other big barbecue meccas. So Jeremy Sherman is asking Ray Lampe, should I season brisket prior to smoking it? That's part A. Part B, what's the best seasoning for brisket? Of course, part C, best temp to smoke brisket. So let's take first things first. Should you season the brisket prior to smoking it?
Well, you definitely should season it.
Sure.
That's a big yes. With something or other. Even if you just use salt, you got to season it.
And maybe he's asking, should he season it overnight?
I don't necessarily do that. To me, it's going to be in that smoker for 12 hours anyway. So I just want it to be on there long enough so it sticks on. So, you know, if you put it on an hour before you're going to put it in the smoker is fine with me. If you want to put it on the night before, just for convenience sake, like if I was doing a bunch of brisket, sometimes I would do that. But I don't think it's necessary, or I don't think it makes a difference.
Let's use the hot button term that everybody likes to throw around, flavor profiles. We'll call them rubs or seasonings or whatever you want to say. But do you have, a high-level preference? And then if you want to dig down into brands that you want to call out, do you have a favorite brisket rub?
You know, it's funny how it's evolved over the years. We used to make rubs for brisket and think you didn't want any or very little sugar in it. That was always the thinking for beef. And little by little, it has snuck to where guys are using, I think, similar rubs on their brisket as they are to pork. It's gotten sweeter over the years, and then they even put sweet sauce on it besides. I'm not a fan of that. I've really gone back in my personal preference to a whole lot of salt and pepper, or just like something like Lowry's. Just a simple seasoned salt for me, personal eating. Now, you know, competition, that's just become, I was having this conversation with somebody else today, it's just become a complete different animal. It just doesn't have much to do with a restaurant barbecue for sure, or in my world, eating barbecue. So for competition, I don't know. Last time I did one, I think I used Victory Lane's beef rub on it. I think a lot of them are pretty similar to me. I tell you this, I don't know if I ever told you this story on the air. I called a spice company in Kansas City about a year or so ago, talking about doing a rub when I was getting ready to do my hot chicken rub. And so I said to the guy, I said, well, you know, how is this going to work? How do we develop this? You know, maybe I get some of your spices and that way I can develop what I want. And he said, well, you'll own the combination, but you won't own the recipes I have. I said, what do you mean? I don't know. I don't understand what you're saying. He said, well, if you want me to use a little bit of Plowboys and a quarter of Smoking Guns and a half of Blues Hog rub, I own those knockoff recipes or whatever. He said, but you'll own the combination. I said, are you kidding me? Is that what everybody does? He said, yeah. He said, I can't remember the last time somebody called me and wanted to create a rub using just ingredients. So when I say that they taste similar, I think that was, and it really wasn't, it was an innocent conversation. He wasn't trying to do that to me. He thought that's what I wanted to do also. And I didn't realize that was the norm now. So anyway, just because they may not be exactly the same, but think about what I said though, you know, some of these rubs maybe are a combination of combinations.
So people are putting, like, they're piecing together or in their stockpile. I guess it would be similar for me if you walk out of my studio and you go into what I call the prize closet. I have, you know, quite a good stock of Big Papa Smoker rub. I have some Suckle Busters rubs. I have a lot of Traeger rub now. And if I decided that, okay, well, I like a quarter cup of this one and a half a cup of this one, I could call up a rub company and say, hey, here's my recipe, and just call out the name and flavors of those rubs. And there's a good shot that if I'm talking to the guy that's mixing all those, he's going to be like, okay, that's what everybody else does. No problem. Isn't that kind of hitting on the exact point? And I know we've belabored this over the years, but people are getting away from creativity. And perhaps the better thing to say is, especially in a competition standpoint, people are being marked down for creativity because it has become kind of a vanilla flavor profile to hit. People say they want it to be as least offensive as possible, but if you're a pitmaster that wants to stand out, I mean, it's tough and not be penalized at the same point.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Now, I want to go back 1 second though. I'm not saying this guy was using recipes from someone else.
Right.
What he was using was his knockoffs of those. I mean, how many different versions of something that tastes like Blues Hog do we have now?
Yeah.
They're not all being made by the guy that makes the Blues Hog. It's the nature of that business. Knocking off a product is a pretty normal thing to do. When we started doing this, we all made our own rubs because, for one, the rubs weren't available. Don't get me wrong. We might have done the same thing if all that stuff was available. But I just can't imagine ever. I've been an entrepreneur, self-employed since I'm 18. I can't imagine calling up someone and that's going to be my product with my label on it when it's actually 4 other products that somebody else already made. It just seems crazy to me. But anyway, I've gotten less and less interested in those complex rubs. And I was in Austin a couple months ago. He ate at a few barbecue restaurants. Now, I got to be honest, I found it kind of boring that they're all just using salt and pepper.
Right.
But for my personal taste, if I'm cooking a brisket at home, I'm probably just going to use salt and pepper. It's just what I like these days. Now, one other thing I want to say, what we're talking about here, all these rubs. Come on, man, everybody out there, try making a damn rub.
Yeah.
Buy some onion powder, garlic powder, and there's recipes everywhere. Try making what you like. You might find it a little bit rewarding instead of, I look at these guys that are cooking all over the internet and they're skilled cooks. I call them technicians because they cook like an engineer, but they cook so well. They buy these great products and none of them have the balls to try and make a rub. They're all buying everybody else's rubs. I'd say, make a rub if you're going to make one. That way you can make it as simple as you want or as complex as you want.
So that's the seasoning answer to that question.
Whatever that was.
Yeah, the last part, we did get a little convoluted, but that's fine. It's our show, and we can do what we want. Best temperature to smoke brisket at, and this is unique to ask you because you obviously do it very well in the backyard. You've done it on the competition scene, but of course you're also going to be doing it from a restaurant side very shortly.
Yeah. Well, it all depends on your smoker. But in general, when I started, we would cook at 225. I had a Jed Master, and that thing would actually cook on the thermometer anyway, a little bit lower, 220-ish, and it would always just stick right there. But little by little, I rarely cook anything that low anymore. I think we've found that 250, 275 is not going to hurt anything, and it's still really low and slow, I think. Cooking a brisket at 350, 400 to me makes no sense at all. That's not barbecue. You're just going to get a different texture. The only way it works is if you inject it with a bunch of stuff, and otherwise it's just roast beef. So for me, 275 is pretty much barbecue and temp these days.
Ray Lampe joining me here on the show, the Ask Dr. Barbecue segment. Let's go ahead and grab another question. This one's from Ron. It says, hey, Ray, have you done any wrapping with butcher paper, and do you find it better than foil? And I think that's unique in the fact that I've seen a lot, especially here over the last, I think, 2-3 years, the butcher paper has kind of come out of hiding. Maybe that's something that's happened down in Texas for generations and generations, and just through the internet or seeing Aaron Franklin use it or a couple other people, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got to get our hands on this butcher paper in order to wrap these briskets. But do you do any other wrapping with butcher paper, for instance, ribs?
No, I haven't done it with ribs. For ribs, I like to keep the moisture in. If I got a little liquid going in there, I would like to keep that in. For pork butts and for brisket, yeah. My only beef with wrapping in butcher paper is that I didn't think of it, because it's a great idea. I don't know who did. I don't believe anybody was doing it 20 years ago. If it's Aaron, I don't think Aaron takes credit for it, but it's probably somebody down there in Texas where they're in those butcher shops. They just decided to try it one day. But I think it makes complete sense for brisket and pork butts, because you want to eliminate that steaming if you can help it, but you want to help keep the thing cooked faster. When you look at a brisket or a butt wrapped in butcher paper, it's just all saturated in fat and just holding that fat on the outside, and that's just a good thing. If you ever pay attention to Adam Perry Lang, and Adam probably knows more about cooking meat than anyone's gonna ever meet in their life. We're talking on the planet. There's a handful of people in his league.
Yep.
Adam would always have pieces of fat and bacon and something fatty laying on everything he cooks, and probably still does. And to me, that butcher paper thing does exactly that. It helps to accelerate the cooking a little bit with a little bit of steamage going on, but it's not like cooking in foil. I think it's, from a seriously sensible point of view, it just makes complete sense to me, and I'm just mad that I didn't think of it.
Are you excited that Adam's restaurant looks like it's going to be opening here fairly shortly? I mean, obviously we're talking to a guy whose restaurant has been almost opening here for the last 15 years, it seems like. But, I mean, you follow him on Instagram, and you can see he's tracking at a pretty good clip at this point.
Yeah, he's doing a better job of making it look like he's getting it close to open than I am. But I think he's been working on it about just as long. It takes a long time to get a big restaurant open. Yeah, I can't wait to go to Adam's restaurant. I mean, Adam is obsessed. Adam is an obsessed cook, an obsessed meat cook. And it seems like this time he's really, well, I've been to Barbacoa in London that Adam was instrumental in designing. And it's crazy. There's all kinds of, it's become very trendy now, but Adam was doing this 7-8 years ago. All these different level fire cooking things. There's a lot of that going on, but he was instrumental in starting that there. So I can't even imagine what he's got up his sleeve in Los Angeles. He's forging his own knives, man. I mean, this guy's he's like a caveman at this point. I can't wait to see what he's going to do.
I might say also, holding all the barbecue aside, he might be the most in shape pitmaster I have ever seen in my life. Do you see this guy's workout routine?
No, but I'm not surprised.
Holy moly.
He's an intense dude, man.
Oh, intense doesn't even begin to define it. You mean, it's unbelievable what this guy is up to. Let's change gears a little bit here and talk about some hot topics. You know, one of the things that I missed, and I'm usually pretty good at keeping my hand on the pulse of trends that are coming up, or maybe they started at the end of the year and they look like, you know, as they fall out of the year that's closing, going into the new year, something's going to be picking up steam. I totally missed it. It's been around forever. People talk about it all the time, about how great it is, but it always seemed like it was hard to either find a butcher to do it for you, or people were trying to do at home with kind of limited success, and that's this whole dry aging thing. And it seems that it has taken over a whole new realm of possibility since the turn of the year, where people are now investing in appliances and standalone refrigerators, getting all the right gear. There seems to be quite a wealth of information out there now to do dry aging at home. Is this something that is on your radar? Do you do it at home? Do you have a butcher that does it for you? Is it a little overblown? What's your take on dry aging?
No, I'll bring Adam Perry Lang back into the conversation. I was at Barbacoa. They also had a butcher shop, and I was in there with him, and they had, I mean, Adam understands all of that stuff. He understood it all long before all the home guys started doing it. The humidity, the airflow, the how far apart you space things, what's going on with the funk, the mold, and so no, I'm a big believer of it, and I enjoy eating a dry aged steak. I'm not gonna. I don't have time in my life to take up my own dry aging process. So no, I'm not going to do that. But we have a meat market right downtown that has beautiful dry aged stuff in there, and they have a salt block wall that I don't know if it actually does anything, but it's cool, and they claim it does. So I'll just go buy me a high dollar steak every now and then if I want, because by the time you deal with the shrinkage, buy a prime piece of meat and deal with the shrinkage, it's going to be really expensive. Plus, you've had to buy a refrigerator, and I just don't. I'm not a gadget guy like that. A lot of guys, man, they thrive on doing stuff like that. And if you're if you have a real job and a family and stuff, and you're looking for hobbies around the house, maybe, right? But for me, it just doesn't fit my lifestyle at all. I'll just go buy one when I feel like it. But yeah, I mean, if I was that kind of living, that was my life, I probably would, because I think I'm willing to do stuff like that if it's something that's really kick ass at the end of the day. And I think those steaks probably are. So I would do that. It's kind of like hunting. I always figure if I thought the food was that good, I would go hunting. But until the hunting food starts getting better than what's at the butcher, I'm not worried about it.
Ray Lampe joining me here on the show, drbbq.com, his website, askdrbq.com, if you want to pitch a question to us for next month to toss around and give ideas and commentary on. Ray, last topic here before I let you go, and always appreciate the time. I don't think there was a hotter story that has come and gone as hot as it was burning. It seems to have evaporated off the face of the internet, and that being the Yeti versus the NRA scuttlebutt that developed last week. Did you read any of that, and what was your take on it?
I did read it. God, I hope I never make my beer cooler choice based on politics. I don't know, man. I try to stay. I'm a registered independent, and I'm proud of that. And so I try to stay out of it. You can't help but listen to it, but I don't know, man. I think if you shot up your Yeti last week, you're probably feeling kind of stupid this week. Sell it or something if you got to. I don't know, man. I don't want to get involved in the politics. I have a Yeti. I didn't shoot it. I didn't throw it away. It's still in my car. I don't know.
Do you like guns?
I like what?
Do you like guns?
Yeah, I like guns.
Yeah.
I have a carry permit. I carry my gun sometimes.
What do you carry?
A Keltec 9mm.
Oh, all right.
Little pocket gun.
Well, look at it. Just when I think we don't have any more in common, we have more in common.
I like guns. I mean, I don't understand where those two things are exclusive. You know what I mean? I like my gun, and I'm not giving it to anybody anytime soon. But I'm not shooting my Yeti, so I just don't. Those aren't exclusive things to me.
Ray, do you think 15 years ago there still was this kind of vitriol that could have spilled out, except we just never would have heard about it because there wasn't that level of internet 15 years ago?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what the deal is. Yes, I think that's the internet is. It's been good and bad. I was telling somebody a story today about when I started cooking barbecue contests. We literally had to wait for the bullshit to come to see what the contests were, or pick up the dial phone and call Carolyn Wells and ask her. So, it's done a lot of good, but yeah, it gives people places to vent and get angry about stuff.
Ray Lampe joining me here the first Tuesday of the show each and every month. Ray, always appreciate the time, and we will look for you again in June.
All right, Greg. In June, I should have good info about the restaurant. Right. We should be getting ready.
All right. I'll look forward to it.
Wait.
We'll talk to you then.
See you then. Bye.
Ray Lampe. I tried really hard not to press on the
Traeger
restaurant
grill
update, of course. Didn't do that.
Yummy.
So hopefully it will be maybe Tuesday or maybe next month we'll be getting the opening date, and then that's when the trickery and tomfoolery starts on my part to try and hornswoggle a trip down to Ray's restaurant, do some live broadcasting from the grand opening of Dr. Barbecues. We'll see. So we'll look forward to that. Coming up out of the break, Bob Trudnak, barbecue guru. Hey, let me talk to you quickly about Southside Market and Barbecue. Attention, anyone who loves sausage and barbecue. I think that's pretty much everybody that listens to this show, by and large. Established in 1882, that has been well vetted here on this show. Southside, the oldest barbecue joint in Texas, and has been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations. They're famous for the original beef sausage, coarse ground in natural pork casings, and the authentic Central Texas barbecue that they make is well ready for delivery. In fact, I believe it was breaking news a little earlier today or yesterday that the beef sausage is now available for sale nationwide through shipping. All meats, including the prime briskets, are smoked low and slow for many hours over real Texas post oak wood. They ship nationwide via the online and secure store, SouthsideMarket.com. They ship fresh and smoked sausages nationwide. Shipping customers can choose to order now and ship later, include a custom gift note, and mail to multiple addresses without additional charges for doing so. So they're saving you money by spreading the Central Texas gospel of barbecue. All shipped items vacuum sealed to ensure freshness and ease of preparations for the customer. Shipped with dry ice to ensure complete freshness upon arrival, plus instructions on how to reheat and all that good stuff. All meats are processed on the on-site USDA-inspected facility, on-site meat markets for fresh and smoked products. Custom orders are available as well if you just want to ask. 2 restaurants for you to eat in: Elgin, Texas since 1882 and Bastrop since 2014. Don't forget the grocery distribution through Texas and many surrounding states available as well. Here's the bonus: 10% off coupon code for online purchases at SouthsideMarket.com. That's 10% off if you use code BBQ Central. One word, lowercase, BBQ Central. Go to SouthsideMarket.com, put in your order, then coupon code BBQ Central, all one word, lowercase, and you can get 10% off your entire online order. So we thank Nick and the gang out there at Southside Market for partnering here with this show. Visit SouthsideMarket.com, and Bob Trudnak coming up out of the break. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around, I'll be right back.
Ready to get on the air? Call 216-220-0966. Now, let's get back to the LeBron James of barbecue talk. Greg Rempe.
Who's got pellet cookers? I know you do. Gotta get them. Gotta get the pellets. From cookingpellets.com, the #1 source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Not voiding any warranties. Don't fall for that shenanigans. You visit cookingpellets.com, and you can purchase right there on the website, or if you feel a little bit more comfortable, you can actually purchase from Amazon.com as well. Wow. My next guest tonight, the longest-running sponsor here of this show, creator of the automatic temperature control device technology. They also produce other products that make your barbecue and grilling life easier. Tonight, we will be hitting on the newest item that continues to expand the product's portfolio, that being something called the Rib Ring. So let's go ahead and race over to the Traeger Grills hotline and welcome back good friend of the show, Bob Trudnak. Bob, how are you, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Greg? How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous, my friend. Always appreciate you making time for the show here. And
I was trying to watch your show, and I got interrupted by a phone call. It was you.
Oh, that guy on the line is a pain in the butt. Hang up on that guy. He's always calling at the wrong time.
I know.
Bob, a month or so, maybe a month or so ago, I was watching a nice little promo video about this thing called the Rib Ring. And,
yes,
man, it got me all excited. And, like, Bob, let's get on the show until you're like, this thing is blown up. We gotta back out a little bit. I'm already sold out. I need to get my supply back. So I guess before we get into all the great success that the Rib Ring has seen right off the bat, like any idea or product that comes to market, the majority of the time there is a precipitating event or a moment of miracularity, which is not a word, that you're like, man, something has to
It's
be.
a word in my book.
Okay, I'll take it. Something has to be invented to make X or Y or Z easier. So what was the momentous occasion for the Rib Ring?
So this is an interesting story. I drew this up on paper about 8 years ago. I was using a lot of ceramic grills, kettles. We were doing demonstrations of Barbecue Guru on these cookers. And I love to cook ribs for people. And people, would ask me, hey, if you're cooking ribs, can you cook a few extra racks? I didn't have the big smokers that I have today. So I just started playing around with, a sketch pad and how can I fit more ribs in a cooker and how can I fit them in a round cooker? Because everybody, all these ceramic grills and kettles and Weber Smoky Mountains are all round and ribs are rectangle. How do we get them in there? So I just started playing around with some ideas and I just started drawing it up and I looked at it and I tweaked it and I came up with this series of rings in a rack. And at that time at Barbecue Guru, there was a lot going on with new products. And, I kind of tossed it out there to the group. Shotgun Fred, God rest his soul, is still alive and well and doing great. And it wasn't a priority for us at the time. So I put it on a shelf on my desk. I had since moved 3 offices since then. And I always kept that drawing on my desk. And I always looked at it and I always tweaked it and made it a little better. And I presented it again to our group, of the development team and marketing and everybody. I just wanted to bring it back to the table. And everybody said, this is a slam dunk. Let's do it. Let's build a prototype. And I'm like, finally, we're going to do it. We're going to make a prototype. I had some guys in the shop make it out of some wire we had. They just welded some wire together and we start playing around with it. And the first cook I did with the first prototype, I noticed, a couple issues, but it really cooked some great ribs. And I fit 6 racks of ribs in a large ceramic grill. And I was thrilled about it. So I tweaked it a little bit more. We did another cook, tweaked it again, did another cook, and we finally have what we had for production. And I just couldn't be more happy with it. And everybody who sees it or has saw it and sees me in a competition or wherever I am says, you know what, this is just, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? It makes a lot of sense. So I'm just thrilled that I finally got it to market. And you never really know how it's going to do when you bring it to market. So, you try to start off small, and if there's a big demand, you make more. You don't want to make 20,000 pieces and sell 200. You want to make 500 and hopefully it's on back order. And that's what happened. We made 500 to start and they sold like hotcakes. I got another 1,000 on the way and there's going to be a lot bigger numbers. We really haven't pushed it at all except for my Facebook stuff. So I think once we start marketing it, it's going to take off like hotcakes.
So if somebody is just tuning in right now and they haven't friended you on Facebook or haven't seen the Barbecue Guru's Facebook page and seen it, can you paint that mental picture for us? I mean, obviously rib ring kind of conjures up some pretty rudimentary thoughts, but what are the ins and outs?
Okay, so it's a series of rings that are welded together on a flat rack. Think of it that way. The outside diameter is a little over 15 inches. So it fits on, a lot of large ceramic grills are 18 inches. So I wanted some airflow between the rack and the outside or the inside wall of the ceramic grill. Weber Smoky Mountains are 18, So you got the outer rack, and then a couple inches in, you have a second circle, a second ring, and then you have a center ring. And they're about 2.5 inches apart. And in that center ring is, just a U-shaped piece that either can be used as a handle or you can stick a whole chicken on. So when you get a rack of spare ribs or baby backs, if they're untrimmed, trim them up St. Louis style, just kind of square them off. And you can fit 3 racks of ribs in the outer ring, 2 racks in the second ring, and then 1 rack or a whole chicken in the center. So you're getting 6 racks of ribs on a large ceramic grill. And, all the testing I've done and the cooks I've done and my friends and family and, people who've used it are saying that they love it. Now I get like a lot of questions about, can I use this for competition? Well, sure you can.
Yeah.
I didn't develop it for competition. I developed it for the backyard guy. And I developed it for the caterer who doesn't have a lot of space. Even on, like, I have a stump smoker sitting at home. I have a Deep South on my trailer. I can do double the amount of ribs on the racks in those big cabinet smokers than I would just laying them on the rack. So it's not just for, round cookers. You can use them anywhere.
And I think it's easy to say that if you are somebody that has a big green egg or a comparable, let's say, monolith for in case of the Barbecue Guru or any of the ceramic larger cookers, let's be honest. I mean, if you're going to do 3 racks of ribs in those cookers, you're probably pushing the limits because eventually as you start to work out, it becomes a little bit more narrow. You're not going to be able to get 6 racks of ribs on there unless you start cutting shit in half and stacking it on top of each other and using the old school rib racks. This allows you to maintain the rack integrity. As you said, square it up a little bit on the ends, but you are in essence being able to double the amount of cooking capacity as it relates to ribs in your ceramic cooker, which is genius. And it's not, $180 either. I mean, this is a very affordable piece.
Right. And I'm always working to make it more and more affordable. But yeah, it's exactly right. $49.95. I mean, you can do 6 racks of ribs in it. I can do 50 chicken legs. So you can take chicken drums, and you can sit them on the outer rack, on the inner circle, and you can do about 50 like drums on this rack. You can take wings. You have a 3-part wing. You just cut the little wingette off, the tip, and now you have the flat and the drumette in a V shape. You can hang those around both sets of rings and do about 50 wings on the rack. You can make beef jerky on the rack. I've used I make beef jerky. I'll just lay it on the rack, but you can hang it or you can skewer it and lay it on the rack. So there's a lot of uses for it, and it comes with an aluminum drip pan, so it catches your drippings. You can add juices or water or whatever you want, any kind of moisture to the pan to help keep the ribs moist. And the kicker is, and I haven't really promoted this yet, you can use it in your kitchen oven. So
right,
because
of the drip pan, right?
A lot of ways to use it.
Yeah,
exactly.
What's the price point right now?
It's $49.95.
So easy enough. Now, here's the good news, because I think when I had seen your video, I was like, all right. I mean, I get it. It's ceramic. You guys are big into the ceramic stuff as well. And I'm like, but I got this Lang over here, this 36-inch Lang patio. And I mean, I can get a decent amount of racks of ribs in there, especially if I'm stacking creatively. I'm like, I wonder if I can get this thing. Oh, by golly, it fits right in there. Not only that, I could fit another one right next to it. I could go up to easily 12 racks of ribs in there, and there's no way I was getting 12 racks of ribs in that Lang prior to that. So you could have a bigger Lang, and you could probably, depending on how long you get, you could probably fit 3 in your cooking chamber, depending on, how long it is. So it's really increasing the efficiency and the overall output of food, and it's done very simply. I mean, like you said, it's like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. And what's great is, so I've also tested this. Like, I've cooked the ribs. So if I'm doing a catering job, I'll cook the ribs, 80-90% of the way in the rack. And then if I'm doing a big job where I need to get a lot of ribs done ahead of time, they'll get cooked 80-90%. They come out of the rack, they get cooled, and then they get grilled or put back on the cooker on an on-site job. Well, those ribs lay flat again. It's not like they're all stuck in a curved position. So they lay flat again, so you can work them, during your on-site event.
So bigger is always better. Is there people already demanding bigger rib rings, or is this going to be like the first and the last?
Yeah, a couple guys said, I want you to make one smaller. I want you to make one bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, this, I thought, was the perfect size to fit on a large ceramic, to fit on an extra large ceramic, because you want airspace between your inside walls of your cooker and your food. You don't want to stop the airflow. So I thought this would be the perfect size to start with. If I start to get, more people demanding, bigger or smaller, I'll work on that. But I think this is the perfect size. Like in my Deep South, I can get 3 across. So I mean, I'm doing 18 racks of ribs on one shelf. That's crazy. So yeah, I mean, if I get a lot of demand for bigger and smaller sizes, I'll be happy to do that. But right now, I think this is the perfect size to go with.
Bob Trudnak joining me here on the show from the Barbecue Guru, bbqguru.com. Go ahead and grab your rib ring right now, $50, more or less $49.99. So we'll just call it $50 here on this show.
$50. Yeah, exactly.
Do you foresee any stock issues other than obviously the big run that will happen here when you hang up the phone? But the first run you're kind of going in, dipping your toe, and it turns out to be a success.
Yeah.
You're pretty much insulated at this point,
Right.
You think?
Yeah, so I am in the middle of making 1,000 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a stock issue currently. So from today for the next 10 days, I'm probably going to be out of stock. I hate to say that, but it's true. I sold so many I couldn't even believe it. But after this next 10 days, I mean, we're going to have plenty of rib rings coming in for everybody. It's just one of those things when you develop a brand new product and you don't know the demand for it and it takes off, you get a little bit of growing pain. But we get through it, and it's going to be fine.
I saw recently you were doing up some new promos with your good buddy Big Mo. What's in store, and what's it like working with him again?
He's an amazing guy. He's a big personality, but he's so down to earth. He's just one of the guys. He's just a guy who wants to be successful in barbecue. He's a great family man. He's a great friend. I can't say enough good things about him. I've worked with him so many times. We have some brand new commercials coming out. We've done some little, just some fun little internet cooking shows together. I have one where he came here to my house and I did this pulled pork cheesesteak, and gave him some kind of like Philly vibes with my cooking.
Yep.
And we have one being released next week. He cooked up some amazing beef ribs and his collard greens and jalapeno cornbread. That's about to be released in just a couple days. We just have so much fun together. We're going to be cooking a lot together this year. He's coming to Wildwood, New Jersey to cook against me, and we're going to film it in July. So I'm looking forward to that.
Do you have any competitions on the Guru competition schedule this year right now, Bob?
Yeah, I've done 4 already this year, and I'll probably end up doing 10 or 12 more. I'll be in New Jersey. I'll be in Delaware and Maryland. Going to head over to the Netherlands in August. Actually, Mo and I are going to fly over together and compete against each other in the Netherlands at Ragafest, just outside of Amsterdam. So I'm a little worried about that, but I think we'll be all right.
Stay away from the weed. That's what I'm saying, Bob. Stay away from the weed.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from that.
Yeah. BarbecueGuru.com is the website. Go check it out. Grab a rib ring. Remember, probably over the week to 10 days, out of stock, but then we'll be well in stock as 1,000 are on the way.
Yes.
And we're talking with Bob Trudnak. Bob, always appreciate the time and the long support of the show, my friend, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Take care, Greg.
You got it.
Everybody.
There he is.
Good talking to you.
Bob Trudnak from the Barbecue Guru.
All guests appear via the Traeger Grills hotline.
Yummy. That's right. Always enjoy talking with Bob and catching up, seeing what's happening over at the... I mean, it's still amazing, like, and Ray Lampe will be the first one to tell you, when Fred Perkel, Shotgun Fred, Bob had referenced him during the conversation with originally pitching the rib ring 8 years ago, or however long you said it was. Like, people were poo-pooing Shotgun Fred and the automatic temperature control device. Now, everybody's like, can't live without it, right? Especially if you have the ceramic and the bullet-style cookers. Everybody's the biggest fan of Barbecue Guru and the automatic temperature control device. They were the one that started, okay? And Ray's the first one to tell you. He was down on it. Now he's a huge fan. Speaking of fans, I'm a fan of Traeger grills recently. I got a Timberline 850. Behind every great meal is a great grill. Not just any grill, a Traeger grill. And the Timberline is Traeger's most advanced grill yet. It allows you to grill, smoke, bake, roast, braise, and barbecue like a pro, no matter what your level of expertise is. Thanks to the incredible wood-fired taste. Seriously, you don't know flavor till you're cooking with it. Traeger grills with all-natural hardwood pellets. So you're literally cooking with flavor, from low and slow smoked ribs to a seared steak and even a baked apple pie. Traegers can handle it all. The Traeger Timberline makes it even easier thanks to the Wi-Fi capability. You can check your cooks, kick up temperatures, set custom cook cycles, anywhere, all right from your phone through the Traeger Grill app. In fact, I got to go check on my next brisket. I cooked one over the weekend. I got one on right now. Let me go check where the temperature is. Easy to do on my phone through the Traeger Grill app. Find one at your local Traeger dealer or check them out online at TraegerGrills.com. Want to beef up your barbecue game? Who doesn't? Take a Traeger shop class. They're going coast to coast, bringing barbecue knowledge and amazing wood-fired food everywhere they go. Taught by professional pit masters, you'll take home the skills you need to reach barbecue glory. You know Diva Q? Of course, she teaches them. You know Matt Pittman? He does it too. How about Doug Scheiding, Texas embedded correspondent of the Barbecue Central Show? He is also a Traeger Grill shop class instructor. Find a shop class near you. Sign up today at TraegerGrills.com/shopclass. That's TraegerGrills.com/shopclass. Or just visit the main website, TraegerGrills.com, to find out about all the products. The Pro line, the Timberline, all ready to go. Very impressed with the 850. I'll talk about that in the second hour. We're back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
Welcome back, and thanks to Bob Trudnak for joining me last segment. Email from John Dawson. Subject line, rib ring flex. Idea for Bob. Split the rib ring in half, add a hinge, Wyola. You have the rib ring flex. By the way, voila, I know. Just trying to be funny. Update from Michael Mann. 87-82 Raptors over the Cavs at the end of 3. No! LeBron with 19 so far. So LeBron hasn't even decided to play this game yet. At 19, we're not going to be talking about sports too much, but if we're only down by 5 and at the end of 3, that's a much better performance than I was anticipating here in the first game of the second round, especially coming off of, I guess, what you would term short rest. I actually expect them to drop 2 to the Raptors right off the bat, but only down 5, and if LeBron only has 19, we could pull it off. I'll be doing this show. Keep me up to date. If you're interested in the rib ring, check them out. bbqguru.com. That's bbqguru.com, and the rib ring is right there at the top of the header. Click onto that. $50. I mean, come on. Double the rack capacity of your ceramic cooker, large or extra large, for $50. I think I tripled the amount of rack capacity on my Lang. It's great. $50. Come on. Again, back order until about 10 days from now. Make note of that, especially if you're listening in podcast. But after that, no problems going forward. We will reload for the second hour. Remember, open at 14, so stick around. We'll be right back.
Wine Library TV, aka WLTV, and this is BBQ Central.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet or wiener.
Oh, listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seed.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard. If you're just tuning in right now and you missed the first hour, oh, don't worry about it. You know, I'm recording this show. You get it on podcast, so all you have to do is head on over to the show's website, to bbqcentralshow.com, and hit the subscribe button at the top, and you can get it in podcast. Never miss a show, never miss a segment. Go back and listen to all your favorite stuff. All the good stuff. The still to come on the show tonight, Jason Ganahl, GQUE BBQ. We're going to be talking about the big SCA win this past weekend in Westminster, Colorado. Will he be taking the trip down to Dallas-Fort Worth and taking place in the World Steak Cook-Off Championship? That's probably what everybody wants to know. Because a lot of money to be won there. And if you can win the steak cook in Colorado, there's probably a very hefty chance that you can just go down and win the whole damn thing. So we'll be talking to Jason Ganahl from GQUE BBQ, see what he's up to. Talk about the big win. Of course, he has been heavily involved with the restaurant and making sure that that continues to gain steam. I think the last time he was on, or maybe it was NBBQA, he was talking about getting into the soft serve ice cream business or getting ice cream trucks or something like that, if I recall. So we'll have to see how that's going. We're finally going into the warmer weather, at least maybe where you're at, it's been warm, but the teeth of winter have refused to relent in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city. Man, oh man. Today was absolutely beautiful. Approaching 80 degrees, maybe 82, 83, where I was, south in the Football Hall of Fame city of Canton, Ohio, and Point South. Sun shining wall to wall. Wow. My goodness. What a day to make sales calls, try and sell trucks, get National Volleyball podcast interviews, and then make my way home to do a nice skirt steak dinner with some grilled asparagus. I love grilled asparagus, man. I mean, is there anything better than grilled asparagus? So tasty. Really good. All right, so I want to follow up my second hour open. Last week, I was pretty in-depth with showing pictures and giving you the whole recap of the big tractor trailer showing up outside of the house, dropping off the Traeger Timberline 850, along with assorted accoutrements such as hundreds of pounds of pellets and shirts and hats and rubs and sauces and smoked simple syrup. That's a thing, and it's delicious. If you've never had smoked simple syrup, and I don't know if it's something that changes, just got a text message from Ray Lampe post interview segment that we'll be talking about in the open segment coming up next. But let me get back. I don't know if whatever your recipe of smoked simple syrup is, or I would imagine most of you have never concocted such a device, or such a wash, as we call it in the bartend business. Have you made? I guess that's the question to put out there through Instant Chat and via the emails. Hit me back, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Have you ever made smoked simple syrup? Years and years ago, Meathead talked about the recipe of making smoked ice. Basically taking ice cubes, putting them in a metal tray, aluminum tray, putting them on your smoker, and then letting the ice melt. The water attracts the smoke, and then you quickly pour that water back into the ice cube trays and then back into the freezer for a refreeze. Refreeze. And then you have smoked ice. What would be the best way to use smoked ice? Well, what do you think? Bourbon. Whiskey. Something that would complement the smoke flavor, and I think bourbon is absolutely top of the list. So if you've never made smoked ice before, that's probably something you're going to want to try out, especially if you are a partaker of the bourbon. Now, that being said, maybe you've never done smoked simple syrup. Now, I will say, that, just so we're aware, I've never been a huge fan. When we're talking about mixing cocktails, I've never been a huge fan of using simple syrup. And there's a lot of old standards. For instance, one of my favorites is Old Fashions. My second favorite was a Sazerac. I think if I'm being honest, the Sazerac was actually approaching the eclipse of Old Fashioned. Maybe not. I mean, a properly made Old Fashioned. Oh, I don't know if there's anything more delightful or good tasting. And not, and no offense to the ladies, not in a girly way. Okay? Not in a girly way. It's not overly sweet. You can taste all of the elements, but if you take the time to learn it and craft it, and the way I learned it was from a guy down in New Orleans, Chris something or other, at a very well-known old-timey hotel. Sorry, Chris, I don't know your last name, and I'm forgetting the hotel you're the bartender at. And I learned how to make the Old Fashioned from him, and he was very to the point on you can use simple syrup. I'm not going to sit here and preach against simple syrup. I don't think he went as far as saying it's of a liquid smoke type stature, but he said it's easier if you put in a little bit of extra work and use sugar cubes and water in order to get your sweetness / dilution than it is to use simple syrup, because if you use X amount of simple syrup and then you want to, if you put more in, it can only make it sweeter. If you're making your simple syrup or your sugar water solution with a sugar cube, you have way more control over adding sweetness or taking some of the sweetness out. With simple syrup, you have no ability to take sweetness out at all. It's already made. You're pouring it in the drink. You pour more in, the sweeter it's going to get. When you use sugar cubes, if you use one sugar cube and a bit of water to make that initial solution, and then you take your little grinder and you work it around until it's clear. Don't let any sugar grit or anything rest at the bottom of that solution as you make it. But once it's nice and clear, you can make your drink, build it, drink it, and then say, you know what? It could have been sweeter. So now you can go right back to what you had and then take half or a quarter of a sugar cube and add it to that water that you had. originally. You haven't changed the water input. Now you're just making it sweeter. Likewise, if you thought it was too sweet, you're able to back out some of the sugar right off the bat, or you can add a little bit more water to dilute the sugar taste. Just a little bar trick. But let me get back on track. I don't think that when properly made, and they're made wrong all over the place. If I can snob out a bit and look down my long, old-fashioned nose at you, if you are partaking in the old-fashioned that has muddled fruit at the bottom of it, that is not an old-fashioned. That is some weak interpretation or replication of an old-fashioned. The only thing that should be floating in the old-fashioned is the orange peel that you have taken your muddler with and expressed all of the essential oils and good flavors out of, and that's it. There should be no, I mean, if you want to garnish with a cherry with a toothpick through it, your prerogative, but no orange wheels muddled and cherries muddled at the bottom. None of that. I mean, come on. And don't even get me started on the Sazerac. That's a whole different build. And don't use the traditional Angostura bitters in a Sazerac. It has to be Peychaud bitters. Otherwise, the drink is ruined. All right, breaking news coming up out of the break. Is that redundant? Cook Shack manufactures smoker ovens for barbecue lovers with any amount of experience, whether you barbecue in the backyard, on the competition circuit, or in a 5-star dining facility. Cook Shack has the unit that will do the job. And with a full line of barbecue sauces, spices, pellets, and wood chunks, it's the perfect one-stop shop. Cook Shack strives to be your barbecue resource center by offering cooking classes, online recipes, how-to videos, 2 blogs, Smoke and Grilling 101s, and a video cooking classroom. Check out their website at cookshack.com or follow them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and Google+. Get advice and share your passion for barbecue on their world-class barbecue forum. Cook Shack pellet-fired smokers are the choice of champions because they were designed by a champion, Ed Fast Eddie Morin. You ever heard of him? Of course. He's Fast Eddie. The FEC 100, PG 1000, always customer favorites. The PG 1000 can actually double as a smoker and a grill. Low and slow, hot and fast. The pellet grill line gives you the most for your money. Now, maybe you're not into pellet cookers. Okay. How about Cook Shack residential electric smokers? Well, you'll be happy to know they're the #1 smoker in the industry. High quality means high durability and versatility. Anything you can cook in your oven, you can make in a Cook Shack. Hello. Passion, dedication drives Cook Shack's manufacturing, with quality always being at the forefront. Get the best in barbecue since 1962. Call 800-423-0698. That's 800-423-0698. Or call Cook Shack, or visit cookshack.com. All right, open segment coming up. Lots to get to. Breaking news coming up from No Names Please. We'll also be talking about gold-dusted chicken wings that are coming to New York eateries. Get your wallet out for that, of course. Bunch of other stuff. If you want to jump in, I'm happy to have you. 216-220-0966. Or you can hit me on the email, greg@thebbqcentralshow.com. We're back right after this.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, if you're looking to cook this coming weekend and you're looking for pork, might I suggest Smithfield Pork? Do you have a Walmart by you? Have you ventured down the meat aisle in Walmart? I know, sounds like a travesty waiting to happen, but no, absolutely not. Head down to the pork side. Check out all the Smithfield products right there. The pork tenderloins, the pork shoulders, the ribs, the baby backs, spare ribs, the extra tenders, the black labels, the signature brands. I mean, come on. You got to check them out. Smithfield is the way to go. Championship Pitmasters are winning with Smithfield. You can win right in the backyard. Don't forget, if you like all that social media stuff, get up on the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Gram. Get on that Gram. Hashtag show us your Smithfield. And then, of course, hit the website and keep up with all of the Smithfield committed cook stuff at smokinwithsmithfield.com. That's smokinwithsmithfield.com. All right, we are open right now, 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. I did want to mention this. You know, there are a small handful of folks that rarely get recognized and who contribute to the show each and every week. And quite frankly, without their efforts, the show would not be as nearly as entertaining as it is, not nearly as good as it is, not nearly have the amount of information that is casted out during 120 minutes. And of course, I'm always looking for ways to improve. I'm always looking for feedback. And these folks really help with all of that, whether they know it or not, whether they're looking. Well, I know they're not looking for any type of recognition because they don't say, why don't you say anything? They never say that. But I wanted to take a second out and dignify these people with saying their names aloud and letting them know exactly how much they mean to me as it relates here to this show. So first and foremost, probably the longest running contributor to the show ever out of the great state of Idaho, specifically Boise, John Dawson. You know that name because he is a frequent emailer while the show is live, but there are any number of times during the week when he'll kick me over what he, in the subject line, refers to as show fodder. So he'll be tooling through the internet and say, hey, this might be something that Greg might like to let all the Centralites know about, or he thinks that I'm going to read it and it's going to get a rise out of me and it's something I'm going to be able to burn on or have a point of view on. So John has been doing that literally for a decade, if not more. So I appreciate John Dawson. Also, he was the creator of Patio Daddy-O Barbecue when that was a thing, but I don't think that's been a thing for a little while now, although it's still online and it still has tremendous recipes, tremendous reviews and tests and all that stuff. So, John, appreciate you helping, as always. Next is the Texas embedded correspondent, Doug Scheiding. And not only does Doug participate in the show each and every month from a panel standpoint in the embedded correspondent segment, but like John, will pass me along any breaking news, especially in the Texas barbecue scene, in the IBCA, in the Texas Gulf Coast. The other one that I can never remember, Lone Star Barbecue, I think that's what it is. So he's always quick to say, hey, you should look at getting this guy on the show, or something breaking or something's going to be breaking within the competition realms down here. I'll keep you up to speed. But more importantly, Doug will approach potential interviewees to this show and say, hey, I'm Doug. From what I've heard, sometimes he will blow off the fact that he's actually a world championship barbecue pitmaster and say, I'm the Texas embedded correspondent for the Barbecue Central show. Wait. That's true, by the way. That was the wrong buzzer. And I think you should consider going on, or, can I book you? Like, Doug has booked any number of guests for me on an upcoming Tuesday, especially if there was something big happening in Texas that previous weekend. And he has always represented the show very well in a very professional manner. And I'm very appreciative of Doug and everything that he has done for me over his lifespan with the show. Next up, Steve Ray, Ottawa, Tennessee. He is the Tennessee embedded correspondent. Like Doug will approach people about interviews, give me suggestions on people to talk to for interviews, give me some clips and did you see this? And you might want to look at that. He also, Steve is a radio host himself, like on the Real Radio every Saturday morning. him and his, I'm sorry, Steve, if I'm saying this wrong. Is it a business partner or just somebody that you know in business that's your co-host? And they host a car guys show. Talk about what's wrong with your car. They take call-ins, and Steve is an absolute professional. He sounds absolutely great when he's doing his show. He obviously has a tremendous amount of knowledge as it relates to the car industry, so I appreciate everything that Steve has done for me in this show over his association with it. Then, of course, my guy, John Solberg, who is the producer of the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. And he has really dug into that whole project and is producing top-notch content. It sounds good. It's produced well. We have the new intro going with the really big voice guy because people were down on the rap. There was a vocal minority that liked the rap, but there was also a vocal majority that didn't like. So I had the really big voice guy do a new intro for the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. And that comes out each and every Friday like clockwork. And John has really been digging back into the archives now 7 and 8 and 9 years ago to pull some of those old shows out. So if you've never heard a best of show before, the time commitment is not anywhere near as great as it is here to get the repeat of this show in podcast, which we've been breaking up into 1 hour on Wednesday, 1 hour on Thursday now, and then the best of drops on Friday. The Friday show, at worst or at most, is a 20 to 22-minute time commitment. Each show has a dual segment in it. Now, sometimes it's the same guest broken up in 2 segments, but each segment is 10 minutes or less, hence the show. We just run 2 together to kind of maximize the value there. So 20 minutes in total, but their segments are 10 minutes or less. So if you've always wanted to catch up on the show or hear some great old-timey interviews, you want to make sure you're subscribed to the general show feed, and then every Friday that shows up in the morning. So thanks to John Solberg for all the great work that you are doing. And last but not least, and this might seem like it would come out of left field, Sterling Ball. This guy is a championship award-winning pitmaster. He is beyond successful when it comes to his real job in the music business. If you don't know who Sterling Ball is, just Google him. And you would quickly wonder, as I wonder, why he even bothers messing around with barbecue. What he is inventing and bringing to market and helping other musicians with is mind-boggling. And to put up with the nicky-knack BS that goes on in this industry is beyond me. I would have told everybody to shove it many, many years ago, but I think that speaks to his passion for barbecue and for what he has told me both on the show and off the show, that in the end, because he is passionate about it, he wants to be able to put it in a position to where it is better than when he entered it, when he decides to leave it. Now, there's obviously been no timetable in that regard, but I think he could step away comfortably at this point, and we could all look back and say Sterling impacted the world of competition barbecue in a very positive manner in a number of different facets. And he's taken a lot of heat from a lot of people, mostly for no good reason. People hate change. People don't want to see people shaking stuff up. And he does that. He's kind of a change agent, which is a stupid hot button term. But I personally feel that he has made barbecue better if he decided to leave it tomorrow than when he started really kind of a handful of years ago. And he is a great sounding board for me. He also is somebody that will give me information. Usually it's not breaking news or anything like that, but insight and numbers and giving me a better understanding of certain things. So just wanted to recognize those people real quick here while I have this open segment. Again, if you want to jump in, more than happy to have you, 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Now we have some breaking news.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
All right. No names, please. I have in my hands the 2018 finalists list of the Barbecue Hall of Fame. That's right. All sources remaining silent. Rule number 1 of the show instituted. No names, please, but I have in my hot little hands a confirmed final list of the 2018 Barbecue Hall of Fame nominee finalists, or finalist nominees, or however you say it. I can't figure out how to say it right. And they are in no particular order. Famed. Hold on. All right. Sorry. I hate to get stuff last second. I want to make sure I'm clearing it off. Before I was interrupted. Famed barbecue pit manufacturer Jamie Geer is on the final list. Also on the list. Look, let me tell you this. 1, 2, 4 of these people, I have no idea who they are. Okay? I just want to get that out right in the open. I always love to show and tell you when I'm showing my ass, and I will show my ass right here. All right. Getting a little update from Jason Ganahl about his segment coming up here in a few minutes. I love telling you when I'm going to show my ass, and I'm going to show my ass here by not knowing who at least 4 people on this list are. Actually, not at least. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So it's 4 people I don't know. I'm sorry I don't know you. Okay? I apologize in advance. I'm not going to apologize. I just don't know. But I do know the first guy I said, Jamie Geer. You ever heard of Jambo Pitts? Yeah. He's that guy, Jambo Pitts. Also a pretty good competition cook, by and large. Didn't he win the Houston Livestock and Rodeo this year? Is that him? I think that's right. Doug, did Jamie Geer win Houston Livestock and Rodeo this year? I think he won it. Also on the list, sorry, getting sidetracked. Columbus Hill. I have no idea who Columbus Hill is. I don't know. Also on the list, Karen Putman. I don't know who Karen Putman is. Also on the list, Rodney Scott. Boom. I know who that is. Whole hog, pitmaster, supreme Rodney Scott. Scott's Barbecue, of course. Also on the list, soon to be having his book drop in a couple weeks. The pitmaster of Cool Smoke, winner of pretty much every major competition barbecue event currently available, holding a few. Tuffy Stone is on the list. Also on the list, you see his sauce in stores all over the place. I believe I had was it his grandson, Rocky, on this show years ago? CB Stubbs, of course. I had Rocky on the show a handful of years ago. Also on the list, Tootsie Tominance, Snow's Barbecue. Also on the list, last 2, Helen Turner. I don't know who Helen Turner is. And finally, rounding out the list, Charlie Vergos, or Virgos, depending on if you put a Latin slant on it. I see that. I put a Latin slant on that. So E's or A's in Spanish, so I say Vergos, or Vergos. Charlie Vergos, or Virgos. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing Charlie. Oh, by the way, I don't know who he is.
Get that big stuff out of here.
So once again, Charlie Vergos or Vergos, Helen Turner, Tootsie Tomlin, CB Stubblefield, Tuffy Stone, Rodney Scott, Karen Putman, Columbus Hill, and Jamie Geer, all on your finalist for the 2018 Barbecue Hall of Fame. So now that you have the list, who is making your list? Only 3 get in. That is the one thing that hasn't changed. They haven't increased the amount of nominees, or they haven't increased the class size. Still 3. Here are my 3. Tootsie Tominance is in before anybody else. I mean, the fact that Tootsie has not been included into the Barbecue Hall of Fame up until this point is an absolute freaking travesty.
Get that big stuff out of here.
What is she, 83 years old? Is she older than that? Stover, how old is Tootsie? She just had a birthday. Might have been 8. It might be 83. How is she not in the Barbecue Hall of Fame? Do I have to say it? Do I have to say it? No, I won't. But how is she not in the Barbecue Hall of Fame? Tuffy Stone, I think, is a lock. How is Tuffy not going to get in this year? I don't know if this is his first time on the ballot. First time I'm seeing it. Oh, by the way, first time I'm ever seeing a ballot. I would say Tuffy, lock. And then, tough. CB Stubblefield, Rodney Scott, Jamie Geer. Now we have one of those real life. Does Rendezvous Barbecue ring a bell? That's Charlie Vergos. Rendezvous does ring a bell because isn't that like the place that grills ribs? They don't do barbecue or something like that. It's vaguely on the tip of my tongue. Jamie Geer, Rodney Scott, Stubbs. Oof. Jeez. I'm going to go ahead and disqualify. This is just my list. This is just me thinking out loud. No offense. Oh, by the way, the biggest travesty of them all. How in the hell am I not on the list again?
Get that big stuff out of here.
I mean, what? Allow me to get off my self-pity party. I think I'm going to leave Jamie Geer off this year. Now it's between Rodney Scott and Stubbs. Oof. I'm trying not to. I mean, Stubbs is a pitmaster too, but he's very successful with the sauce. I know Scott's has sauce. Oh, boy. I guess I'm going to pick Rodney Scott. So in it for me this year, Tootsie, number 1, Tuffy Stone, 1A, and then 3rd, Rodney Scott. Let me know what your list is. Holy moly. That's going to be... And again, I apologize. Maybe Columbus Hill or Karen Putman or Helen Turner or Charlie Vergos are way more popular than I know, because I don't know them. But that's my list. Tuffy, Rodney, Tootsie. I can't believe that Tootsie's not in the Barbecue Hall of Fame. Don't ask me how I got my hands on the ballot. No names, please. Come on. Number 1 rule of the show, and I'm not going to get hooked. Trusted sources that are wide-reaching here on the Barbecue Central show. Jason Ganahl coming up here in just a little bit. All right, let me talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills. Boy, if you're looking for some pellet cookers that are really easy to use, really well built, priced well in the market, and consistent, that's key, right? Especially when you're talking about pellet cookers, Green Mountain Grills are the ones you're going to want to consider right off the bat. 3 different sizes to choose from. The big one is the GQUE, middle size, the Daniel Boone. And then you have the portable one, the Davy Crockett. If you're somebody that lives in a college town, for football, baseball, volleyball, whatever ball, you love to tailgate, that's what I'm getting at. You're going to want to look at that Davy Crockett. I mean, it is super portable. If you don't have access to a traditional plug for power, you can dial it up in that 12-volt outlet. You could probably get 2, maybe 3 in a TP of pork butts. I mean, that's the ability to feed 100 people or so. I usually figure a pork butt's good for 20 to 25 people, depending on how much meat you're putting on your sandwich. Might be a little more or a little less, depending on your level of eatery. The Daniel Boone and the GQUE, as I always say, are great because not only can you use them as the traditional cooker, but you can rip the guts out and then drop in the high-heat pizza oven insert. And for, I think, what's $150 or less. The range, the flexibility, the efficiency that you get with that is absolutely supreme for the price point. I don't think there's anything that approaches it. The end products are absolutely phenomenal. It operates great. Set your cooker temperature to 1 and then basically double whatever the cooker temperature is at to figure out what's on the stone. That's kind of fast and loose. I like to keep my cooker temperature right in that 320 range. That's giving me about 640 on the stone. That works well for me. I don't mind stretching it out another minute or 2. I can take a fully cooked pizza in 4 minutes versus 2 or 1. But if you want to jack it up to 500 on the cooker so you're towards 1,000 degrees in that pizza oven, be my guest. You want to live on the edge, you do it. People are actually not cooking pizza in there anymore. They're taking the stone out, lining the bottom metal with foil, dropping grill grates in there, cooking steak in it. How about that? GreenMountainGrills.com. That's GreenMountainGrills.com. Jason Ganahl out of the break. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, welcome back. This portion of the show is brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or connect via Bluetooth. And if you have Alexa or Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck because Fireboard fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call them 816-945-2232. That's 816-945-2232. And they actually do have a fan attachment as well. So if you're, I guess, for whatever reason, not into the whole barbecue guru scene and you want to use your Fireboard for all that stuff, you can undo a probe, insert, and hook up their fan, and away you go. So, again, it's fireboard.com, fireboard.com. All right, helping me close the show, a successful restaurant owner, competitive barbecue cook, championship-winning steak cook as well, if you're in the Denver area, listed as the best barbecue joint, not only in Colorado, but perhaps the world. I mean, Denver, right? I was lucky enough to meet him in person at the MBBQA a couple weeks ago. Let's go ahead and race over to the hotline and welcome back friend of the show and the pitmaster of GQUE BBQ, Jason Ganahl, joins me. Jason, how are you, buddy?
Good, Rimpy. How's it going?
Absolutely fabulous, Jay. Always appreciate you making time for the show. And, you know, I know we caught up mid-March at that NBBQA. We talked a lot about the restaurant and what it takes to build on success that you have had since you started. However, you know, from a competition standpoint, I know you haven't been more or less, or you have been more or less on hold since 2015 for obvious reasons, but that changed this past weekend when you decided to take your hand at that Steak Cook-Off Association event in Brighton, Colorado. I think I was saying Westminster. That's where the restaurant is, but Brighton, Colorado. The Lulu's Brew and Q Steak Cook-Off. So what was it like to get back in the competition saddle again?
Rimpy, first of all, it sucks not being able to see and talk to you on Skype.
Well,
it's just hard. It's like the olden days having to have to call in and do this on a phone.
Yeah, wow.
I thought I was trying to get it going on Skype, and I was having all kinds of difficulties, and it actually booted me out for some reason. I was trying to set up a new account, and in the back of my head, I could just hear the Bill O'Reilly and you saying, "Screw it, we're going to do it live. We'll do it live. Dang it,
Do it live.
We get it going."
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
You know I got it ready.
I love that. That's awesome. I love that. So a steak cook-off. So what was it like to get back into the steak cook-off? Is that the question?
Or just back into that competition saddle again?
It was awesome. I loved it. It felt so good to see the guys, see everybody hanging out again on a Friday night. Everybody was starting to put their meat on the cooker, so the smoke was in the air. The beer was flowing. It felt so good to be back out there and into that scene.
Jason, let's go ahead and run through the championship steak cooking process, if we could. And let me back out just for 1 second. Is this the first time you've done a steak cook-off event, or is this something you're already adept at?
No, this is the first steak cook-off event I ever did.
So what drew you into it? Was it just close, proximity to where you lived? You just always wanted to try it? I mean, what's the deal?
A couple of things. I mean, I miss being out there on the weekends. I'm just a competitive person by nature. So I miss getting out there, being removed for it for a couple of years. It's difficult to see everybody, posting all their pictures and posting all the results and wanting to get back out there. And then what's so nice about the steak contest versus the barbecue contest is, I mean, I've got 3 little kids right now. They're all in Little League, coaching Little League. So it's hard for me to get away on a weekend. And as all the competitors know, it's not just showing up at a contest and then leaving after a contest. It's also going to buy all the meat, prepping all the meat, putting together your rubs, putting together your injections and sauces. For me, when I was competing in contests, my week started on a Tuesday, getting everything together. So the steak contest is attractive because I can just show up. I put a pit in the back of my car. I can take a Tahoe. I don't need a trailer. I don't need to go to storage. I don't need to clean out the trailer. I don't have to do any of that. I just put a pit in the back of my car. I put a couple of rubs in my front seat, and off I go. And it's really easy. You get in there, a couple hours, and you get out of there. Very little cleanup, and it's just more practical for where I am in my life right now.
All right, so
and I will also say it wasn't necessarily just all me. I had a lot of encouragement from a couple of people, namely Ryan Grob has been encouraging me to do this for a little while. So if it wasn't for him prodding me, I probably would have found excuses not to do it.
All right, so let's go through the championship winning process here, Jason. First, did you do any practicing beforehand, or was it just Ryan kind of prodding you to say, hey, just get out and do it, throw caution to the wind?
I didn't do any practicing at all.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I had no idea what I was shooting for. It was a moving target. I just know kind of what I like. I think I got a pretty good idea of what people like. I think I know how steaks should taste. That doesn't necessarily mean how they're going to score well.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because they read off, there was 32 teams, and they read off 10 through 1. And the barbecue side of it, you kind of know, hey, I think I turned in something good, so I don't want to hear my name called anytime soon, right? You're hoping to get your name called in, 3, 2, 1, right?
Right.
And when you turn in something bad, you just hope they call your name 10, 9, 8, 7, right? Somewhere as they are backing down from 10 to 1. And so not knowing where I was at, what was going on, they give you 2 steaks. The steak I didn't turn in, I thought I overcooked it, so I didn't turn it in, and I was tasting it after I turned in the steak that I turned in, and it tasted very good. And I thought to myself, shoot, I wish I would have turned in that steak because it was awesome. And as they were calling down the names, not knowing where I was at, I was actually hoping just to hear my name 10, 9, or 8. And then I figured once they got up like 6 or 5, I had no shot at getting a call. So it was a huge prize to hear my name last at that event.
What grill did you, I guess before I ask that, so you were just going off of the G-Man's idea of this is what the majority of people like for steak. This is what flavor I think they'll like. This is what flavor I like. And that's kind of how you rolled into it.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just G-Man. I mean, I've got a lot of cooks in my kitchen. I've got a lot of other guys.
Screw all that. I mean, you're the guy that won it. Forget about that. I mean, we love to give credit where credit is due, but forget about that. So from a grill standpoint, what do you use and what other accessories did you bring?
So I went to college, actually, with the CEO of PK Grills, and we hung out a lot in college.
Really?
We lived in the same house, as a matter of fact. So I know him pretty well. And so that was instantly the first pit, and I see all the guys using it. So that was instantly the first pit that I wanted to give a shot. And so I went and picked one up. There's a barbecue place here, retail shop here in Denver, Colorado called Proud Souls that carries them. I went and picked it up the week of the event and unboxed it. Well, Tony actually unboxed it, put it together for me. And then there's a little part you just cut it in half with, or take it apart it basically breaks it in half. Those are bad words to describe it, but it just put it in the car, take it home. I didn't even use it at all. Just set it out near the garage, put it back in the car a couple days later, and headed to the event. I mean, it was a brand spanking new grill. So I don't know. Do I need to buy a new grill for every single event, or can I reuse a PK grill again?
I don't know. I think you've dictated that that's probably the lucky grill, right? Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Is it the 360 or the traditional PK?
It's a 360.
Oh wow. So you're sparing no expense on top of everything else.
Yeah, it's an awesome grill, no doubt.
Fuel used, and why did you pick the fuel that you used?
So we've got a Walmart right across the street from GQ. I got done at GQ that afternoon, probably about 4:30. I knew I had to get there by about 5:15. Went into Walmart, and they had Kingsford and they had Royal Oak. I went with the Royal Oak.
Lump charcoal.
Royal Oak briquettes.
Okay.
And then I think I got some lump from Ryan Grob. I cooked right next to Ryan Grob and Dan Vogt with Votes Barbecue. And I think Ryan lent me some lump to kind of put on top of it too. So we had the briquettes on the bottom, and I dumped a bunch of lump on top of it.
So as you are ramping up to put the steak on, are you looking for a certain grill temperature? Are you holding your hand over the fire and like, oh, it's super hot and this is where I want? Like, how do you figure out what kind of a heat you're shooting for to start the cook?
Yeah, I personally, this is what's interesting about these SCA contests is I love a good crusty steak. I think there's a lot of really great flavor in the crust. However, and looking at some pictures online and doing a little bit of research, everybody's turning in these crosshatch sear marks.
Yeah.
So in order to give the judges, I guess, what they want or what they're looking for, I decided to go with those crosshatch sear marks. I had some grill grates as well also. And I just went to try to get that grill as piping hot as possible. I filled the bottom of that 360 up with as much hot charcoal as possible, and then put some more on top so I can get it as hot as I possibly could get it. I have no idea how hot it was, but I'm going to guess it was humming along at least at 550, maybe even 600.
Are you shooting for an internal temperature to pull it, or are you just doing it by time and finger poking it?
Well, I asked a couple of people how they do it, and some were going off the time, some were going off the temperature. So I went off the temperature. That just seemed like it would make the most sense, considering I've never cooked on that pit before, and I don't know how it cooks. And, meat can be cut at different thicknesses too, so that's going to impact how long or how short something should cook. So I used Thermapen and went off an internal temperature.
How long did you let it rest before you put it in the box and then ran it over to the tent?
Yeah, so I mean that's an interesting thing too. So yeah. I wanted to cook one, see how it went, and just to kind of practice on it. And then I was planning on using my second one as my turn-in steak. So the first steak I cooked was the one I liked the least, and that thing ended up resting probably a good 15 minutes or so before I turned it in, because the second one that I cooked was cut a little bit thinner, and I overshot it. It cooked a little bit quicker, and I know that they everything's equal, right? So the flavor, the appearance, the doneness, everything is equal. So I wanted to make sure I got something in that I thought was cooked better. So I went with the first steak, but it did rest a lot longer than I would have liked. It rested for about 15 minutes before I got it in.
I mean, is that kind of something that you know, so if you were going to do, let's say 20 over the course of this year, if you were able to do that, would you stagger out your start times closer, or would you have your turnover from one steak to the next be a lot quicker? And this is just kind of greenness on your part this time?
Yeah, I'd practice is what I would do. So I would practice and figure it out and just get a system down to where I can get the doneness done perfect every single time.
And you know they're cutting into these steaks and then they're comparing the internal color against an actual color chart, correct?
Yeah. Yep. That's how I understand it. Yep.
Any finishing sauce or butter or butter ghee or anything like that that goes on top of the steak before you run it on over?
Yeah, during the cook, I basted it with butter. I melted down some butter and just basted it during the cook, but nothing right before it went into the box.
Well, I guess you're turning in the first steak that actually wins you the championship. You overshoot the second one a little bit. So is that the one, obviously, that you're kind of tasting on and deciding whether the flavor profiles are right, or how do you decide or can you do anything? Like, let me pull back out just for a second. In competition barbecue, you can taste a rib. It's not one that you're going to be turning in, obviously. And then say, hey, I can determine off of this bone and this bone that the rack is going to need a little bit more sweetness or a little bit more savory or whatever. And you can make that adjustment before you go and turn in. Can you do the same thing in a steak cook-off, or you have to have your flavor set and you commit, you cook, you turn in, and then however it happens, it happens?
Yeah, I don't know if you can. I mean, just thinking about that really quickly, I wouldn't want to cut a piece off of a steak and then turn it back in, or I wouldn't necessarily want to run my finger across the top of the steak just to get a taste of it. I would use that second steak to get a feel for how it's going to actually taste. And I think more so with these steaks, it's just a combination of ingredients than it actually is a cut off an animal, if that makes sense. I mean, I do think there's some variation with the ribs, not so much in taste as much as it is like in tenderness and how it's cooked. But with the steaks, I don't think it's going to vary that much. The main thing is just going to be how you season it.
Jason, certainly you're used to hearing your name called as an overall winner. You've done it a number of times in the competition barbecue world. What was it like given that layoff? And as you said, you kind of weren't expecting to go in and win, I guess, per se. But what was it like to hear your name again in that competition?
It got the juices pumping, flowing. It brought me right back instantly to, I haven't competed since 2015, so it took me right back to those fun moments when you get your name called, even to like just kind of winning your first GC. It just kind of it resurrected a lot of just happy emotions and thoughts, and it was awesome. It was love. I felt alive that night for sure.
Jason Ganahl joining me here on the show, owner of GQUE BBQ and pitmaster GQUE BBQ competition team. So you win this event, and that obviously gets you a golden ticket to the World Championships down in DFW in October. Is that something that you will attend for sure, or you just kind of got to wait and see?
So I'd like to do more SCAs. I saw they're coming back in May, but it's over Memorial Day weekend, and I know I'm going to be out of town for that. So that would be the very next opportunity I think I have to do an SCA. And I have it on my calendar. I'd like to go down there just to meet a lot of people, just to hang out and just be part of all that. I talked to a couple people who have done it before, and they said it's an absolute blast. So I have it on my calendar. I'm going to try to attend. It's just a matter of just where things are at and where I'm at the time. But I would love to get down there and compete in that.
Obvious question to end the interview, and I always appreciate the time, Jason. Is steak now a staple menu at GQUE BBQ, at least for the foreseeable future, and is it at a premium now?
I don't have the space to cook it.
Not even for special? Not even like the championship steak from GQUE BBQ?
We don't. What were we cooking on? We don't have anything to cook it on. We have smokers. We don't have grills.
I don't want to remind you that you have a very lucky PK 360. It's a gold ATM machine sitting out in the back, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, we'll keep that for the contest.
Yeah, I get it. How's the ice cream business, Jason?
So hopefully ready to launch here in September.
Wow. Getting close. Any pitfalls that have run up and snagged, or kind of coming along nicely?
Greg, your show ends in about 5 minutes. We need to extend it out another 2 hours if we want to talk about the pitfalls.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, I certainly appreciate your eye on time, and that's something that we'll definitely jump into because I'm always interested in business. In the meanwhile, he won the State Cook-Off Association contest that took place in Brighton, Colorado this past weekend as the pitmaster of GQUE BBQ and the owner of the same namesake GQUE BBQ, Jason Ganahl. Jason, always appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much.
Rippy, thanks for having me on, man. Talk to you later.
You got it. There he is, Jason Ganahl. GQUE BBQ, man. My man is high energy.
The Traeger Grills hotline.
Love Jay.
Yummy.
Always bringing the heat, Jason Ganahl, no doubt about it. And appreciate his candor and insight, especially kind of getting into that process. I had a whole angle that I was going to run down, and the more I realized I was talking to him, the more I realized I can't ask him these questions because he's completely shooting holes in all of my potential setup questions. Hey, anyway, head on over to BigPapaSmokers.com for all your barbecue needs, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. Their curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. That's right, from rubs and sauces to grills and smokers. Everything is outfitted on Big Papa Smokers to help you barbecue better. Of course, you know all the championship rubs and seasonings. The Sweet Money, the Cash Cow, the Cattle Prod. Then mark that up with the partnership of Simply Marvelous Barbecue. Now you have the West Coast offense. We all know what that's all about. Teams have been using West Coast offense and winning with it for years and years. Big Papa is also the proud owner of the award-winning Granny's barbecue sauce. Looking for a new go-to barbecue sauce that will please everyone? Granny's traditional yet powerful flavors remind us why we fell in love with barbecue in the first place. Find Granny's barbecue sauce and other top-rated barbecue sauces at BigPapaSmokers.com. And aside from their premium selection of rubs and sauces, they also offer the very best pellet, charcoal, and wood cookers available today. That's right. If you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, why not consider the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill? The Big Papa Smokers has the exclusive Mac dealer partnership and offers special packages. Not a pellet smoker fan? Okay. How about the old Hickory Ace BP, the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer? And if you're a backyard barbecue enthusiast looking for a durable and versatile grill that will last forever, the M Grill from Texas is just what you need. They're built like tanks. Not sure what kind of grill you need? All right. You can't go wrong with any of the grill smokers and other cooking utensils featured on BigPapaSmokers.com because they have something for everybody. Check out their website today and shop their full selection. It's clear that Big Papa Smokers are the place to go for all things barbecue. Every product featured on their website has been hand-selected to help you barbecue better. Boost your skills with the help of Big Papa Smokers. Call them and ask questions at 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727. Or shop the line, BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BigPapaSmokers.com. We're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, let's try and make the mad dash out of here. All the way back in the first hour, we talked with Ray Lampe from drbbq.com. The restaurant coming soon. More information on that next month, as he had promised, potentially a firm opening date. Then we talked with Bob Trudnak about the rib ring from the Barbecue Guru, bbqguru.com. Check it out, $50. At least double the ceramic rack capacity for your ribs. And then closing out the show, we talked with Jason Ganahl from GQUE BBQ and the big win that he had over at the Brighton, Colorado SCA event and has qualified for Dallas-Fort Worth. So we'll see what he decides to do from there. Ice cream talk next, by the way. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Till next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Reppy. Good night now.
Hi, this is Greg Rempe, host of the Barbecue Central Radio.